This is DDS. From the DDS studios, we are your hosts, Blake Milton, Bradley Newberry, Matthew Parker. Well, I think he's going to the lake for Labor Day, so it's just us two. Thanks, guys, for joining us today on this, our AFC West 2022 prediction show. Newberry, we got a bunch in store today, but before we get started, guys, down below, go ahead and click the like and subscribe button for us. Really helps us out. It's quick, it's free, it's easy. Give us a rumble on Rumble. Follow us on all of our social media on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, as well as on your favorite audio podcasting platform. Newberry, what we got today?
We are going to start with a team that has owned the AFC West as of late, the Kansas City Chiefs. Last year, the Chiefs earned a 12-5 record behind Coach Andy Reid. Boy, but that sting, that loss at home against the Bengals, and then trading away wide receiver Tyreek Hill are the big offseason news.
Yeah, no Cheetah. And you know, they join a lot of company out there and people who fell to the Bengals ultimately until they got to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, they fell victim to the Cinderella season that was the Cincinnati Bengals last year. Like you said, 12-5. No Cheetah now. You know, Tyrann Mathieu gone, right?
Yeah.
A lot of different looks too. It makes you wonder if the defense is going to be, or excuse me, the offense is going to be a little bit different this year since they let Cheetah go. I mean, obviously, there's still Kelsey. Everybody loves Kelsey. I know I do. Fantasy football. Yeah. Love that. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire, is he going to play a bigger part in this year? Makes you wonder.
I would think that they would want him to.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to. And, you know, I think Parker – so we have Parker's reaction to all this stuff. We're gonna play it for you guys, and he's got some interesting information on Clyde Edwards-Helaire that I think could maybe explain why maybe he wasn't as productive last year. But you know, Mahomes didn't get blitzed a lot this last year.
I think it's a smart strategy.
They have to, right? Because if you come after him,
he's a one-on-one.
He makes you look like an idiot.
He's got one-on-one weapons all over the place.
Yeah.
He had.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Kelsey. Dump it off in the background.
Look, they are really, really, really good on offense, and they have a guy that looks like he's playing Madden football, and just you can just see the gears turning in Mahomes' head as he's rolling out and looking at all the hot routes and everything and where the coverages are. It's really interesting to watch him, but yeah, I think that the strategy has to be minimize the bringing the extra folks.
So my question was going to be, is this a rebuild or a reload?
So,
I mean, with the quarterback, it feels like a reload, not a rebuild.
Yeah, I know. And I think you may be onto something there. And I think that ultimately they're probably going to fall back just a little bit from their standard. I think that they're still going to have a good year. I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. I think you're going to have a pretty good year by most people's standards. But by their standards, I don't know. Will they end up coming out on top in this division? I have no idea. We'll have to wait and see.
We'll see. I mean, I'm calling reload. Their key ads were Juju.
Yeah.
Can he still run? I don't think so. Can he catch the ball? Probably.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, we're going to find out. Mahomes will put it there for him.
Valdez-Scantling. Who knows? I mean,
there's a lot of questions, right?
That guy, he goes from Aaron Rodgers to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
He should catch the ball. They got the rookie Sky Moore. Other ads were safeties, Justin Reed, Deion Bush, defensive lineman Carlos Dunlop. I mean, they're retooling. In the draft, they took Trent McDuffie on the outside, George Karlaftis. We talked about him in our draft preview.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt like last year they really underperformed on defense. Was that kind of the feeling you got?
It was hard to tell. It kind of, maybe that's the lasting feeling that I have because of the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I'll touch on defense in just a minute. Let's go to offense first, actually.
Okay.
Offense, last year they finished 4th in the NFL, 28.2 points per game. Patrick Mahomes, Parker, statistically his worst season in his NFL career, and it's a season that many would be jealous of.
Yeah, I know, right?
66% passing, 37 TDs, 13 picks. We talked about Kelsey. Edwards-Helaire. Offensive tackle Orlando Brown. And Wiley, they're back. All 5 of their offensive linemen return. That's a big deal. We're talking about it in pros, college. When you have the line, you have
think about it. He's not going to get blitzed a bunch, so he's going to have a pretty good amount of time for these receivers to get down there, for him to see everything, for him to be able to read everything. Edwards-Helaire will be there to maybe chip somebody and be the check down. He's going to have an opportunity to throw the ball a lot, and he's got a good unit in front of him that's going to protect him. So it's a reload year, but you're looking at it, and it's one of these that it could go like really high on the wins, or it might go kind of so on the wins.
I think he's smart enough, and he's got a Hall of Fame coach, Andy Reid. All trust in them. They've won. I think Parker will tell us later how many division titles they've won in a row. But we can touch on defense. They statistically on defense, they rank number 8 in the NFL in scoring defense.
Yeah, it was weird. That's weird though, right?
I know,
because we think that they had kind of a so year, right?
And they're in that same division with Justin Herbert, so you think they'd put up a lot of points, but statistically, no. I mean, they were 5th in quarterback pressure rate.
Yeah,
but they only created 31 sacks. They didn't get home. Didn't get there. 4th lowest in the NFL in sack total. Frank Clark is back. They brought in the rookie, as we mentioned earlier, with Carr. They kind of revamped their linebacking core. Secondary needs to improve in a pass-happy division. I think that's what it boils down to right here.
That's what I've got it down there with Matthew and Ward gone.
Yeah.
This secondary's young, they're inexperienced, and they're in a division where the ball is going to be thrown down the field.
Yep.
And they're going to have to either fix it fast or they're going to be taken advantage of.
I'm interested to hear what Parker has to say. Let's go to Parker, and then we'll be back with our picks.
All right. AFC West, the division that everybody wants to talk about, right? The best division in the history of football. I hear numerous people calling for all these teams to make the playoff. I got news for them. It's not going to happen. They may be 4 of the top 7 teams in the AFC, but they are going to cannibalize each other like all of us lost on a desert island. The Chiefs, when thinking about last year, though, they are elite on offense. Even in a year that seemed like they were down, of their plays, less than 20% of them were 3rd down. That was least in the league. They've won 6 straight division titles. So yes, it seemed like they were down last year, but by Mahomes standards, they were down, not by the rest of the NFL standards, they were down. This team is so difficult to predict because I think the offense might be completely different, possibly paper cutting you down the field instead of the deep bombs, and that's because they basically stopped going deep last year. Team stopped blitzing Mahomes. He was blitzed 12% of the time. That's the least in the league, and still about half as much as the second guy. That's how small of a sample he was blitzed. Maybe they let Tyreek Hill. There's that kind of theory that they let him walk to force Mahomes to play different than that YOLO down the field type of game. Obviously, they wanted him, but not at that price. And maybe defenses quit playing that style of defense as much since Tyreek's gone, and Mahomes will kill you if you blitz. They may not have that elite Tyreek Hill guy, but they definitely have more depth at wide receiver this year. And guys, this offensive line is really not talked about enough. They are great at run blocking. We've also learned that CEH had surgery last year and was down almost 20 pounds. Like maybe that's why he was terrible. Maybe this year, CEH is the guy that they drafted him to be. All I know, it doesn't matter what they have on offense. If they've got Pity Pat, they're going to be good. As far as the defense, it struggled last year. It was a more of a bend, don't break style. Problem is that they broke quite a bit. They aren't getting pressure. They had one of the worst sacks amount in all the league. And if they weren't good in the red zone, which they were elite in the red zone, this could have been a brutally bad defense. But that red zone stat doesn't usually carry over from year to year. That's another one of those type of variance things that changes. They lost a lot too. Tyrann Mathieu, Travarius Ward, both gone. They had a great draft on paper. I mean, sure, great. We love Karlaftis and these guys, but they are rookies. I don't know what they're going to do in year one. This young secondary is going to get carved up by the quarterbacks they're facing. I challenge you, just pull up their schedule right now and look at who they are playing. Down year for the Chiefs. 10-7.
Wow. A lot of the stuff we touched on there, he brought up.
I could feel it, man. You know what? Sitting back listening, I thought about the UT Vols for a minute.
Oh, boy.
I thought about how maybe, because Andy Reid's smart enough that he could do this. Maybe their best defense is to keep their offense on the field.
I think.
And just run some clock.
There's something to that. And not just way down the field,
but
right? Like he's saying, paper cut, it's almost like a run game.
Exactly, because they're playing this too high shell thing, and it's not man up anymore.
It's check down Elaire, check down Kelsey, flat pattern Kelsey, deep route to Juju.
5 yards of play is first down every time.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
every other play.
And I think they have the personnel with that offensive line in particular. They could dink and dunk it easily if they wanted to, and that also keeps your quarterback healthy.
He says down year. What do you think?
I tend to agree with him there. I think that first off, 10-7 is not a bad year by most teams'
double-digit
standards, but for, like they said, Mahomes standards, or like he said, Mahomes standards, it may appear to be, but that's what I got him going 10-7 this year.
I have a little more faith in Coach Andy Reid.
Okay.
I have a lot of faith in Patrick Mahomes. I'm scared of the defense. It's one of my favorite parts, as you guys know by now.
Yep.
I'm going to forecast 12-5. Wow. But I'm not going to tell you if it's enough to win this division.
Okay.
12-5, Kansas City, you're going to the playoffs. Next, my brother's team. We're going to Vegas, baby, the Raiders. Last year, they earned a record of 10-7. This year, they bring in a brand new head coach in Josh McDaniels. They made the playoffs, Blake, somehow when the year started off dicey, to say the best, with John Gruden. Mm-hmm. They went over to Bisaccia. They've got a whole new GM. Seems like a whole new energy trying to come into this team, man. But just thinking back to last year, Gruden or Urban Meyer, which was the worst? Because it was Gruden was out first, and we all thought it was going to be Herb.
I do remember. I remember this because we were sitting there like Urban Meyer's done, and then all of a sudden this John Gruden news starts coming out, and it's like it's saved Urban Meyer from being fired earlier. So, which one is worse? That is a good question. I think that
maybe they're just together.
I don't know. At least John Gruden's an NFL coach. Urban Meyer.
That's true.
Urban Meyer was out of his league. That's all I'll say about that.
That's damn true. Alas, the Raiders made the playoffs.
Yes, they did.
They had a pretty good showing there in Cincinnati. came up short. They
Another one that fell to the Bengals.
of course, they fell to the Bengals.
Man.
And the Rams
Cinderella.
almost did too.
Golly.
Joey football.
Joey.
We ain't talking about the Bengals on this podcast.
Who dey?
So, off season. Reunited, and it feels so good. Wide receiver Devonte Adams reunites with his quarterback from college, Derek Carr. They also bring in defensive specialist, defensive line Chandler Jones.
Yep.
Re-signed Max Crosby and Derek Carr, of course, to the deal. But the big news in the offseason was basically everything in the office, new coaching staff, and wide receiver Devonte Adams, no longer with the Packers.
Right. Devonte Adams, obviously a huge pickup. Obviously Chandler Jones, he'll help. Max Crosby, that's great. We'll get to defense though here in a minute. Waller's got this nagging hammy injury, kind of wondering how that's going to affect his season. Those hamstring injuries for those skill position guys tend to really, really bother him over the course of the year. So I'm going to be watching that. But this O-line is just not good. They're not good at all. And I worry a lot about Derek Carr being able to be upright long enough to get the ball.
It's a very good point. Last year they finished 18th in scoring offense. Man, if Darren Waller, if he was healthy at all, he would have more one-on-one opportunities. And if it wasn't him having the one-on-one opportunities, it'd be Hunter Renfrow.
I know.
Man, this guy had 103 catches, 1,038 yards, and 9 touchdowns.
Yep.
They've got the weapons, but Blake says, do they have the time?
I don't think they do. I don't. I mean, and it worries me. Like you said, all last year we had to deal with Waller being out with injury, and he was on my fantasy team, so that absolutely screwed me. But yeah, I'm looking at this offense, and I think the biggest hole is going to be: do we have enough time to get the ball out? We'll see.
I was going to ask about running back. I mean, I literally, we all did. We saw the Hall of Fame game in a week 0 preseason, and they're out there running Josh Jacobs against the third string Jags in a meaningless practice game. What are they doing? I mean, isn't he supposed to be the starter here?
I don't know. I mean, you would think that'd be a good time for your rookie, your newly minted rookie that you just drafted, Zamir White.
This guy.
I mean, why would you not put him in and just see what he's got? I mean, that's what those are for, right?
Their practice, glorified practice. I don't know. I can't even predict Jacobs as the starter. I assumed he was. I don't.
You would hope, right? I mean, you don't want to have to go straight to a rookie there in the backfield, right?
Maybe their running game will be Hunter Renfrow in the short passing game.
But then again, I mean, if they have a terrible O-line.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe they don't have a running back at all. Maybe they go 3
slot. Yeah.
They go 3 wide.
Yeah.
And then the person standing next to Derek Carr in the shotgun is either an extra tight end or a fullback. He's just back there to block.
Yeah, he's back there to chip and go to the check down. I think you might be on something, unfortunately.
I think Devonte Adams will get double teamed, and Derek Carr is smart enough, savvy enough to find the one-on-one matchups to get the ball out quick.
Yeah. Yeah, and if he has confidence in where Devontae's going to be, I mean, and there's something to that chemistry thing. I think that'll help a lot. But you
want to talk about defense?
I know you do.
It wasn't very good.
I know.
In scoring defense, they were 26th, allowing over 26 points per game. Bring in the new DC, Patrick Graham. They lost Yannick Ngakoue, their sacks leader, with 10 sacks. Max Crosby had 8. Chandler Jones, that they brought in, had 10.5.
Which he had like 5 of them against the daggum Titans in the first game of the year. It's probably how he got that contract.
It counts. I mean, their guys are the linebackers. Denzel Perriman led the team with 154 tackles, made the Pro Bowl. They're piecemealing the secondary a little bit together. Will it be enough in this offensive heavy AFC West? I got my questions.
I do too. You know, you mentioned Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. So, yeah, they have a couple guys that may be able to get to the quarterback. And that is going to be the only way that they're going to be able to play any kind of defense. They've got that young secondary, like you said, and that is the big weak link in this division because, as we've already mentioned, we've got quarterbacks that are going to throw the ball. When you've got, quarterbacks the likes of Mahomes and Herbert, and
a new one that we'll talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk
Russell
Wilson. And we're going to be picking apart a lot of young defensive backs here. So I think that's a hard one to swallow there.
I'm interested to hear what Parker has to say because I'm sure he'll be tiptoeing around just a little bit. Newbie's favorite team, the Raiders, their best friends. What say you?
Gosh, I still label this team as Oakland. I've got to get over that. But there's not a team in the NFL that I had initial thoughts about and then did more research and changed my mind more about any team other than the Las Vegas Raiders. Looking at last year, man, it's just a candidacy for negative regression all over the place. They were losing at some point in 15 of their games. They went 4-0 in overtime. There are other metrics like that just can't happen again. It's just they can't continue this pace of play. However, I do like their new coach, Josh McDaniels. He has another shot at it, right? It went absolutely terrible in Denver, but he's a decade older. We all change. I think he's going to have success. You've got the superstar out there, Waller, dealing with hamstring injuries, which can, as we know as Titans fans, and looking at our receivers, that can linger all year long. Hopefully that won't, because he's really fun to watch. But guys, here's where I'm going to harp on. This offensive line is a massive issue. It's nice seeing them move on from Leatherwood so quickly. I mean, we all sat here and were like, what in the heck is this draft going on? I mean, they cut him. But y'all know, if you go back and listen how I bragged on the Lions offensive line about how 5 out of 5 people were better than average. This team is the opposite. Out of 5 starter, they have 1 guy that's average. 1 that's average. That's not good. I keep waiting to see like a trade request pop up because they've done all these big moves, but I don't know how they're going to have time to do anything. I know a lot of people are worried about the run game with them not picking up Josh Jacobs' fifth year option, rookie Zamir White. I just say I would take a step back on that one and look what McDaniels did in New England. Every other year, it's a new running back that anyone's ever hardly heard of. You can go back and name them over the years. There's tons of them in New England. So if the O-line isn't just an absolute, made out of paper, they should be just fine. Again, the problem is, and I can't hammer this enough, Carr was pressured 10th most in the league last year, and the line has gotten worse. I have been super high on this team all offseason. Bradley, I talked to your brother. I called him like a dark horse candidate to win this division. But the more I think about it, they're in a shootout division. And when teams know they're going to pass, I just don't see them holding up. I just really don't. And then you look at the defense. This defense has not had an above average defense since 2002. 20 years. For 20 years, they have not even had an above average defense. And then 2002, it was an average defense. Max Crosby looks great. Great pick. Chandler Jones edition will help. But they lost people too. Casey Hayward. And their secondary, probably led by Mullins. There's a bunch of young people in the secondary. What are we getting from them? I don't know. They've got potential. Outside the offensive line, this is the weakest part of the team. They will suffer unless Max Crosby and Chandler Jones can get to the quarterback quickly almost every single time, which could change everything. I mean, that is the answer for having a terrible secondary. I like the new coach, as I mentioned. I like them getting rid of all these trash Gruden players that never should have been drafted to begin with. But the fact is that they are weak at the 2 positions that this division will exploit. And I hate to say it, I'm just changing my tune completely from what I was about a month ago. I'm going with the Las Vegas Raiders at 9-8.
Okay. 9-8.
He's got him over 500.
After hearing him talk, I wasn't really sure.
Thought he was about to go 5-12.
Yeah, I know. Golly. Thought we were going Chicago-esque.
I'll go first.
Go for it.
Brother, I hope you enjoyed a little playoff run, a little magical game to even get there when you beat the Chargers. It ain't happening this year, my friend, my brother. I am forecasting the Raiders to go 7-10, and honestly think they only get so many wins because their matchup against the AFC South.
Mm-hmm.
When you have the Texans and the Jags, the Colts, the Titans, I mean,
you got to beat at least 3
you got a better shot at getting 4 wins from that than getting 4 out of 6 in your own division. So I'll give you a 7.
Fair point. I'm going right in the middle of you guys. I'm going 8-9. I think the combination of the O-line being just absolutely dog shit and the defense just being young, really not being quite ready yet. I think it's just going to be too much. You're going to go 8-9 this year. Sorry, Brandon.
All right. We're going to Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Chargers. Last year, they earned a record of 9-8 behind coach Brandon Staley. Blake, they were down by 15 points with 8 minutes to go. When all of a sudden, they come roaring back and force overtime with the Las Vegas Raiders, but fell short. And one of those wins that Parker was talking about with Vegas. And Justin Herbert's great season. Everyone's expectations of the Chargers going to the playoffs to get matched up against the best of the best. It still didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, according to Parker, if you go back and watch our prediction shows from last year, he said this past year was not the year that it was really going to happen. If it happened last year, then they were ahead of schedule, so to speak. He thinks that, according to that podcast, this year is going to be that year where he takes that step. There's no question Justin Herbert has all of the physical tools to be able to do it. This is one of those situations where they're going to have to start building their team to win in a particular year. Looking at their offense, looks like they finished 5th last year.
Yep, 5th in scoring, 28 points per game.
Yep. So I mean, they're going to score some points, but that defense, good Lord, we'll talk about that here in a minute. Jesus, I don't know how you can't finish much lower. But
what do you think of when you think of offense other than Herbert? Anything just comes to mind, or do you have to dig?
I don't think of anybody like really strong, right?
What I think of first is it's
Eckler, right?
It's Eckler with the running and the catching ability,
right?
I mean, he had over 1,500 yards by himself combined, 20 touchdowns.
Yeah, see that. Yeah.
The offense runs through that guy, literally. They still got the wide receivers, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, both were over 1,100 yards each. Mm-hmm. So we know who his targets are.
Yep. I mean, there's no secret, right? Like, no. Those are his guys.
He'll line up and play ball.
Yeah. I mean, and by God, he threw for over 5,000 yards last year. He's, like I said, he's an impressive guy, I guess. You look at him, you're like, God, he looks like a hippie.
It's all right, I'll take it.
But I mean, he gets the job done.
They beefed up.
I kind of look at this team and I don't think that this side of the ball just doesn't seem like it's the problem, right?
We'll see.
Justin Herbert, I mean, he doesn't throw that many interceptions. When he had 38 and 15 last year.
Correct. 65% passing.
Yeah. I mean, he's
upper tier.
Yeah. I mean, would you call Justin Herbert an elite quarterback at this point in his career? Or would you say he hasn't proven it yet?
Above average. It's hard for me to use the word elite if you don't make the playoffs.
I think it's fair. I mean, there's more to play in the quarterback position than just stats, right? I mean, we talked. That's
an
jabbed
argument
us
that
all
we used to say about Dan Marino. I mean, Dan
Yeah.
Marino has the stats of anyone, but
Yeah. I mean, can you win when it counts? You know, and I don't know, man. It just seems to me, Justin Herbert, this might have to be the year. That step. He might have to take it this year. Like if he keeps falling into, well, it's going to be next year. It's going to be next year. It's going to be next year. I think he is going to have to step. I mean, he has good stats, but I think he's going to have to step it up even more to be able to make himself to be in the elite class that's out there.
new additions on this side of the ball. Rookie Isaiah Spiller, running back. They brought in pretty crafty tight end, old Jared Everett from the Rams. Rookie guard Zion Johnson. I agree with Blake. I think this side of the ball, and maybe even management, kind of said so as well, because we're about to talk about some people they picked up in the offseason on defense.
Yep.
I think they're okay with the role with this group, but on defense, man, this team last year was 29th in scoring defense.
That is so hard.
Not many were worse.
That's so hard to stomach.
So what did they do? They brought in arguably one of the top 4 cornerbacks in J.C. Jackson on a 5-year deal. Khalil Mack.
Yep.
He's coming in.
Kyle Van Noy.
And when you put these guys on the defensive line, it speeds everything up. And
Joey Bosa.
It allows the
Asante Samuel Jr. I mean,
yes, it allows them to they don't have to cover for 5 seconds anymore against Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. I mean, so if you can, that's kind of the big thing. Can they get some pressure on that on the quarterback? Because these quarterbacks are looking to throw the ball in this league. Are you going to be able to put some pressure so that your defensive backs don't have to stand out there, like you said, for 10, 15 seconds, covering guys running back towards the line of scrimmage?
And don't forget this name. I believe all of this is going to allow their Pro Bowl safety, Derwin James, move around.
Yep.
We remember watching Ed Reed. He could go 25 yards back, then all of a sudden he's at the line of scrimmage ready to sack your ass. Derwin James, remember that name? I'm interested to hear what Parker
now
says.
I am too, but it makes me wonder, is this LA Chargers team, now it's not quite the same as the Rams, but are they looking at the Rams and saying, I see that they essentially went out and bought mercenaries to come in to win on a particular year. Do you think they kind of did that with these moves, or do you think that's not quite? Or will we find out here in a second after you give us our record?
It's similar, but man, it feels like the Rams gave up everything. They're like, F the draft. We're going to give away all of our picks to bring in our big dudes.
So they didn't quite give it all.
Maybe
away.
Not to that extent, but it's similar. It's similar.
Yeah. So, all right, we're going to hear what Parker has to say here.
Go back and listen to some of our podcasts last year reviewing these games and these weeks. And towards the end of the season last year, just watching the Chargers, I said, next year's the year. Next year's the year that they're going to win the Super Bowl. We'll see if I stick by that. But looking back to last year, this team was an analytical person's dream. Maybe a little too much. But they had more 4th down conversions than anyone. More 2-point conversions last year than any other team in the league. They're doing things they should have done. They went for it inside their own 24 times. Sometimes I believe the coach may outthink himself a little too much, but last year Eckler took off. There's just they were loaded at wide receiver. But if you did watch the games, sometimes it was a little dink and dunk at times. They just need to realize that Justin Herbert is the man and arguably the best quarterback with the best arm in the league, and let him sling it around the field to these playmakers. As far as additions go, it feels like every single time a major player moved from team to team, they went to my lovable Chargers. I feel like in these previews, I've brought up, hey, they lost this guy, but he went to the Chargers. Hey, they lost this guy, and he went to the Chargers. They didn't have a ton of changes on offense. Why would they? But they did draft Zion Johnson for that offensive line, which is a weakness on the right side. And they brought in a very underrated tight end in Gerald Everett to get rid of some aging players. Oh, Bradley. But on defense, J.C. Jackson, one of the best cornerbacks in the league. Arguably, he could miss a week or two, but who cares? He's going to come back and lock down. I read a stat from a former odds maker, Todd Furman, on Twitter, that last year, when quarterbacks threw at Jackson, they had a QBR of 38. If you just drop back as a quarterback and throw it into the dirt every single time, you have a QBR of 39. Another Patriot they brought in was Kyle Van Noy. He talked about the Patriots not having any covered linebackers. They also brought in this guy by the name of Khalil Mack, run stuffer, Sebastian Joseph Day, Bryce Callahan. And gentlemen, may I remind you, they already have Joey Bosa, Asante Samuel Jr., and Derwin James on this defense. So from a team that could literally have the best offense in the league, they could have the best defense in the league. They've just got to shore up that run defense. Yes, I know you're probably going over those stats about the average that they gave up per run. And that was meant to be. This defense is built differently. They weren't meant to give up that many. So hopefully they can shore it up a little bit more. But this brand new defense, I see superstars all over the place. And while I had the Chiefs, well, I'll save that. I don't know which order we're going in here. I have the Chargers at 11-6, fellas. And remember, this division will cannibalize each other. Just because somebody has a great record or a bad record doesn't mean they're good or that much worse than other teams in other divisions. I may have the team that finishes fourth here better than any team in the AFC South. So, gentlemen, great.
He brings up a really good point.
Did he just say the fourth place team may be better than the first place team in the South?
I think he did. I'm just telling you that's a really good point, though. This division is going to beat up on each other like you wouldn't believe.
Everyone can see what hat I'm wearing here. If the AFC South is as bad as Parker says, could you be looking at the AFC South champions?
No. Very simply said.
We'll discuss.
No, that's another podcast.
It'll be a spicy one. Stay tuned.
I'm sure it will be.
What do you think about their record? Do they hang with the Chiefs? Do they kind of fall in the middle like the Raiders?
No.
Oh.
I think that we're going to see Justin Herbert just kind of step his game up. I think the defensive upgrades that they've made this year will make a difference. I think the offense will continue to improve, maybe even get a little bit more aggressive, which would be a good thing for them. I've got them going just like Parker. I got them going 11-6, and I've got them winning the West.
Interesting. I predicted Kansas City to be 12-5, and guess what? I'm going LA Chargers 12-5, and they win the division.
Wow!
With the tiebreaker.
Wow!
New champ.
Everybody's on the Charger train.
A new champ.
Charge up. Let's go. I don't even know if that's their thing.
No,
Charge up.
What would Arnold say? Let's go Chargers.
Somebody make a clip out of that. Somebody please make a clip out of that.
Yes, let's go to Rocky Mountain High, Denver Broncos. Denver earned a record of 7-10 last year. Parker already kind of talked about it a little bit. It's like everything's new.
Yeah. You can't even really
coach Nate Hackett.
Yeah.
All the quarterbacks are flushed down the toilet or traded to Seattle.
Yeah.
Because the big offseason move is here comes Russ. He's coming to cook in Denver.
Yeah, and he just signed that contract. What was it, $243 million or something
5
like
years,
that?
$245.
Whatever it is, and 6 million picks that they had. They gave. I mean, what they were doing, they wanted Drew Lock away as fast as possible,
and as far as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They didn't care if it was Seattle.
No.
But yeah, obviously the big news is that Drew Lock is out. Russell Wilson's in. It's going to be, the question's just all going to be around Russ, right? I mean, how's he going to do?
He's the superstar, man. He's the superstar at the superstar position.
And the question is again, I mean, he's been up there in Seattle. I mean, I think he's a phenomenal athlete. I think he's a really good quarterback. I don't know that he is that one of those elite quarterbacks, again, like we talked about. But then again, it's hard whenever you're looking at the fact that he's been playing in Seattle, where he's been running for his life for the past several years, and I don't know, little nicks and dings here and there.
He would be one of the few that I could comfortably say elite. I mean, he has the resume.
Yeah.
He's got the consistency. And quite frankly, I think he made Seattle a better team.
I think he was Seattle.
And he may do the same here in Denver.
You say DK Metcalf. Well, I mean, the fact that Russell Wilson could get the ball to DK Metcalf behind that O-line, I mean, just coming there to Denver, if they have a decent O-line, I mean, I would think that would make his life a lot easier just right off the bat.
That was the big key ad. Some other key ads were on defense. We'll talk about defense in a minute. That was Randy Gregory from your Dallas Cowboys, Joe Sherbert, the journeyman linebacker from Pittsburgh as of late. Their offense last year was 23rd. Less than 20 points per game. That's got to improve.
I mean, yeah.
It has to.
And again, it's hard to look at these offensive numbers from last year because none of them
won't
are there.
Translate over to this year.
It's almost a moot point to even look at it. Just because you had Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock, and a bunch of other guys that
Mark Rippon's son.
Oh my gosh! I mean, it's just bad last year. And the thing is they're going to get a huge upgrade just by way of having Russell there. So, I mean, I would expect them to improve on offense significantly. But my question is it going to be enough?
Yeah. Running backs headed by Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams. They both had over 900 yards. Wide receivers, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick. They have a new tight end and Noah Fant from the trade. All of these offensive skill positions, I think, have a tick up.
Yeah.
Tick up. But it's in the division where offense is going to be everywhere. I think the NFL knows it. NFL TV knows it. They're going to be all over our TV sets.
Oh, yeah. This division it's
going to be prime time almost every week.
All the time. We will have our fair share of Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert and Derek Carr all in our face this year for sure. They're going to be lighting this up because this is what everybody wants to see, right?
And everybody
wants to see Madden football, throwing the ball down the field.
Everybody wants to see Russell Wilson saying, "Broncos fans, let's ride."
Well, and
Broncos, let's ride. Bronco fan, let's ride.
I mean, hey, you can't say that Russell Wilson does not. He's a guy that wants to fit in, right? He wants to be a part of the culture of the city. He's a good guy. He really is. I just hope that he is still what we think he is, which, I think he's kind of borderline elite. I know he was at one point. I don't know if he is anymore. I really don't. It can only be proven on the field.
Just stack ranking, but forget the teams. Let's go with these four. We got Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yep. Justin
Herbert.
Yep.
Derek Carr.
I think he's third in that group.
So you're taking Mahomes and Herbert, I'm assuming.
Yes. I'm just going, what have you done for me lately? Looking at stats. I have nothing else to go on. I mean, he's with a brand new team.
I don't know if I disagree. That sounds right.
He's been held back, in my opinion. I mean, look, dude, there was a time that there were just whispers in Nashville of Russell Wilson coming to Nashville.
Boy, that sounds like Peyton Manning before he went to Denver.
But we couldn't afford him.
Peyton Manning? This
No,
is
no,
the
no,
same
no.
damn story.
I'm talking about
I know it's the same
yeah.
story.
I mean, and then that goes into your whole John Robinson rant of having,
No,
cap space.
Peyton was never going to come.
I'm talking about Russell Wilson.
Russell wasn't going to come to Tennessee.
If I think for the right amount of money, he'd go anywhere. Most of these guys go anywhere. But anyways,
Duval.
See, I hesitated. Fair enough. But anyways,
let's talk about
defense. Let's talk about defense.
Actually, they were third in scoring. Defense, only allowing 18.9 points per game, led by their safeties Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson. Cornerback Patrick Surtain earned a Pro Bowl in his second season, so they've got some good things going on in the secondary in a division where you need good things going on.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess they have to, because I'm sitting here looking, where are all the sacks? There aren't any. Right? There are no one really kind of lights it up in the sack column.
Maybe they're hoping for Randy Gregory to show himself on the board.
There you go. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's just like if they could get some pressure up front, they could be something to deal with. They really could. So they're good. They're good in the secondary where you have to be in this division.
Literally, the only other note I had was right off of your point about where are the sacks.
Yeah.
Bradley Chubb. 0.
Yeah.
This guy needs to bounce back.
Yeah.
He needs to. Denver needs him to.
Yeah.
Needs to get some pressure on these quarterbacks, above average to elite.
Yep. Totally agree.
Quarterbacks. You ready to hear from Parker?
Let's hear what he's got.
This is the hardest team to predict in the hardest division to predict. I can make a compelling argument for the Denver Broncos to win 6 games. I can make a compelling argument for the Denver Broncos to win 12 games. And I know we like to look back last year, but fellas, I'm not going to do it. I can't look at a team when Drew Lock was a starting quarterback. They've got new coaches. It's just a completely different team. So now they've got a new coach. It was the Packers OC? Was it him? Was it Aaron Rodgers that got back on track? I don't know, but I know this team has the second longest playoff drought in the league. And it's all one question, right? It's all about Russell Wilson. They paid a king's ransom. They gave up 2 number 1s, 2 number 2s, 1 5th, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, and of course the almighty, already mentioned, Drew Lock. He's pretty much the same. Russell Wilson is at the same age as Peyton was when he went to Denver. Will Russ come out and cook immediately, or will it take some time? Because this is going to be a completely different scheme. But either way, look for this to be a massive upgrade over Drew Lock. Lock can't even beat out Geno Smith in Seattle. I believe there's a lot of debate in the fantasy community on what wide receiver is going to benefit from Russell Wilson. I think it's going to be Cameron Sutton. I think he's going to be the deep target. But however, everyone's talking these weapons, the running backs, the wide receivers, the tight end even there. The offensive line is what I want to talk about. Down in the trench, this is going to be the best offensive line that Russell Wilson has ever played behind. Even if Denver's, let me just lay out how bad Seattle's offensive line have been over the years. Even if Denver has a 16th rated average offensive line, it will be the best offensive line that Russell Wilson has ever played before. The best thing, though, for Wilson isn't even that. It's the Broncos are going to face the easiest schedule of passing defenses in the league. Now, we flip over to the other side of the ball, and the defense could be an issue. They upgraded their pass rush with whatever was happening with the Dallas Randy Gregory thing. And with a new coach, obviously there could be that new an improved offense, but they did lose when they lost him. They lost Vic Fangio, and he relied on this defense was a lot of his pieces. Bradley Chubb's there, I know, but he's been plagued by injuries. Last year he played 7 or 9 games. I know he had 0 sacks in those games, but I do think he's going to probably show up this year because it's contract year, and that's what players do. I mean, I don't blame him. As far as secondary goes, Patrick Surtain could be a star. And I know if you look at the numbers, this defense looks like it was good last year. I don't think it was that good because they played against less plays than any other team in the league. So The defense saw less offensive plays than any other team in the league, and that's just because of how slow and terrible this offense was. They were just taking their sweet, sweet time. There is a world also when you're just evaluating on what could happen that Russell Wilson isn't the same guy. I mean, maybe that injury wasn't really the problem. Maybe he's getting older. I don't know. But I do know they need to win early. As I talk about the schedule, you got to pull it up because the early stuff is the easy stuff. And in the second half, I think it's after week 10, it gets absolutely brutal. Yes, I believe Denver got significantly better, but I also believe the rest of this division did. Much like I said last year that the Chargers were a year away, I believe Denver's a year away. 7-10. Last in this division, but next year might be the year. Just
Wow.
He said they may have come in third, but that defense is fraudulent.
Yeah, he did. He called it fraudulent. Give him a horn on that one.
Gee.
I don't know what all that meant, but it sounded intelligent. Pretty impressive stuff there from Parker. I do agree they're going to be improved. I just don't know that they really have all the pieces they need just yet. I mean, and I don't know if they really have any way of knowing if they have all the pieces yet, if that makes sense. Just because, I mean, they were so bad last year offensively. I'm looking at them going 8-9. I'm not quite going as bad as Parker, but I think that, like he said, the rest of this division's getting better. And they may have gotten significantly better, but it's just may not appear that way in their record this year.
I want to give one more apology for my prediction last year of 4-13. I was wrong. Denver, should be better. You get the AFC South.
Yep.
You have Russell Wilson. I called him elite. I'm going to go double my prediction, 8-9, third in the AFC West.
All right. Well, hey, we've all got the Chargers winning the AFC West.
I got the Chargers.
I never thought we'd have everybody agree on
the Chiefs
everything.
Making the playoffs.
Golly. Well, I think that's probably the case. I really do. Well, guys, thanks for joining us tonight on our 2022 AFC West prediction show. While you're here, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below. Hit the Rumble button on Rumble. And go ahead and follow us on all of our social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at DDS Sports Talk. You can also get the audio versions of all these podcasts on your favorite podcasting platforms. Newberry, final thoughts.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, go Chargers, go.
Golly, that is horrible. I can't believe you said that about that old man.
Go look it up.
Whatever. It is
It's a great
two-tone
video.
blue all the way. You guys be well.